Hey everyone, welcome to the Jack and Joe show. Jack, how are you doing after a really quite special night on Tuesday?
Yeah, really special evening. Really emotional evening, and one that will live long in the memory, I'm sure.
Yeah. Um, Obviously, a lovely moment at the end, and the minute's applause was perfectly observed by all fans, including Millwall. So we have to give credit to that. And it looks as if the parish family that were at the game, and it looks like they had as good an evening as you can in the circumstances.
Mm.
And it looks like Paul's life was remembered by the whole squad and by the whole ground very, very touchingly. So we're going to focus on the football, but we wanted to just say that at the start to say what a lovely night that was and some really touching tributes. The spontaneous one from the players and managing staff as well.
I couldn't quite believe it, honestly. I mean, it was. You normally have the players come over, clap the fans, and I was like, "Yeah, great performance, brilliant win, clap, 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 clap." And suddenly I'm thinking, "Oh, they're all going, oh, this makes sense, this makes sense," and it was just like we just sort of stood there and like in awe of like the the sort of gesture that the players would do. Like they didn't have to do that at all, but they did it, and it was really like I was just standing there like tears in my eyes. Like it was unbelievably like emotional and quite moving, and we were all singing like One Paul Parish and like um Fulham Till I Die and stuff like that. It's just like so powerful. And after a game in which we won quite comfortably in the end, we'll get onto it, but it was just that was for me was the most special moment of probably the season.
Yeah,
And this group of players and this manager and the fans. There's something about this season that I've just absolutely loved with the connection. And I say it like every year now, but like this was really special, and I'm so glad that we support this club. I'm
yeah,
so glad that we support. I'm so proud of. That's the word. I'm so proud of Fulham and the whole club and our fan base for the last few days and weeks. It's been really unbelievable, and on the pitch as well, we did the business as well, Joe.
yeah. I mean, I know what you were just saying there is true. Where I feel like us two in particular, probably every year, we're like, oh, this group is special,
I
and
know,
you
yeah.
sort of wax
We
lyrical
did it
about them.
last season.
But this group now, and a lot of them were here last season. It feels like as great as they are on the pitch, they seem great off it as well. They seem like very good people with fantastic moral compasses, and it's great to see the club standing for all the right things. And I feel like everyone's proud on and off the pitch, as you say at the
Mm,
moment. So let's go on to the football, as you
mm,
alluded to. I think it would be fair to say not a vintage performance and a little bit um, shaky in terms of possession and sometimes control of the game. I
mm,
definitely disagree with a lot of people that were saying that Millwall deserved something. I think that was mostly coming from the Millwall side because they had a couple
mm.
of decent chances. Still thought we were the better team and were obviously in control for the majority. What did you make of the performance? Because for me, it was one of those where, if you can't put in a vintage display, win the game, and you'd be happy with
Mm,
a 1-0, you'd be happy with a 2-1, just a scrape victory. But the manner of victory was still very strong.
mm.
And a 3-0 when you're not playing well against a mid-table side, they're not the worst side in the league by any margin. That's a very good sign for things going forward.
Yeah, it speaks volumes about the character of the players. When the chips are down, and I think genuinely for the first half an hour we struggled to create. I watched the whole game back because I was like, I was pretty drunk. I'm not gonna lie, but I was pretty sure that we weren't that good. And I was like, I'm gonna have
Yeah,
to like revisit this just to add a bit of context for Jack and Joe show and stuff. But um, yeah, no, we struggled to break them down, and I think that Mill actually did quite a good number on us. And I think Anthony Robinson probably had a terrible first half an hour. He was awful. Um, Bad touches, giving the ball away. And then the goal actually came from obviously Nico Williams. And it's really good. He's a good right back, honestly. And I'm really pleased that he's put in two very decent performances. Have we spoken since Man City?
no,
I can't remember. Have we not?
we haven't. We haven't.
Oh, right. Well, that was
Man
awful.
City, yeah.
Yeah, that was crap. That's
Yeah,
generally
I
one of the
mean,
worst aways I've done for quite
oh
some time
no.
actually. It was bad. No, it was
Yeah,
fun. £2.50 cocktails was great, but as
yeah,
soon as we got in the ground, we were like 3-1 down. Just a lot of Fulham fans were losing their heads at Man City.
Yeah.
I'm sure Brentford had a very similar experience to what we had on Saturday. But anyway, back to the Millwall game. We weren't great, but Mitrovic doing what Mitrovic does in the box. And actually, it's a really good finish. He's like slides it in under Bielkowski, who's a really good keeper.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think were we fortunate to have the lead? No. But, you know, Millwall did have their chances first 10 minutes. They had that shot that was sort of bounced into the ground and went over. They weren't awful. And it was funny to see Gary Rowett lose his head a couple of times in the game, especially in the second half, Joe.
Yeah, especially when Bowen Morte kicked the ball.
That was
even
funny.
Even though if you look at the video, it looks like Rowett was about to do the exact same thing, which is just weirdly bizarre because like you're losing 2-0, mate. You probably need the ball back quick. But anyway, Mitrovic, I feel like we could talk about him all day, Jack. Unbelievable. And now 1 goal away from matching the record. There's even people talking about could he break the all-time second division record? So not just the championship. And I almost want to park the Mitrovic chat for today just because he will break that record soon. And let's talk about it then. I want to talk about some of maybe the lesser unsung heroes from this game. And I want your opinion on these players. So we had obviously Nico Williams making his league debut. We had Chalobah, Natty Chabs at the base of midfield instead of Harrison Reed or Seri, which was interesting. And we also had obviously Rodak in goal, keeping a clean sheet for the first time since the Reading game, which actually wasn't that long ago. In fact, I think it was a month ago tomorrow, possibly. So in my opinion, these players, Nico Williams, good league debut, bit shaky defensively, but I'm sure that he will improve as he grows into his role with the team. Whether Tete comes straight back in, I don't know, but I liked his link up with Wilson. Rodak, you know, myself included, a few people have been going, we've been conceding quite a few lately, and there's a few that I think Rodak should have done better with. Fantastic performance. Fantastic performance. A few of those you expect to go in, no chance. And Chalobah, this is what I'm really interested in your opinion on. I think when the team news came out, that was the one position where everyone was a bit like, like Chalobah's playing. Like, not there's anything wrong with it at all, but it was interesting that Reed didn't get the nod. And if not Reed, then Seri didn't, because this hasn't happened really this season. What do you make of their performances, and Chalobah in particular? How do you think he fared in midfield?
Well, starting with Chalobah, when you get the team sheet at 6:45 or 2:00, Reed, for me, is the most comforting name on that team sheet. If Harrison Reed's playing, I'm happy. I'm like, great, we've got some protection for the back four. He's probably our most consistent player in midfield. I'm really happy. When I saw Natty Chabs, I was like, this is controversial. Like I was fine with it, but I was thinking if we get overrun, I've never really given Natty Chabs a big chance. Like I always thought, he's like second grade or third grade as opposed to like Seri and Reed and Kearney. But for him to start in that game, I was thinking, this is your chance now to like, are you good enough for this team for the level up? If we go up, I mean, and I thought he was fine. I thought he was really outstanding, actually. And we never really got into a position where Millwall were coming at us and at us and at us, apart from the small spell in the second half. But I think he held his own really well. And actually, I think, did he get the full 90 as well? Because I think Kearney came off Harrison Reed.
There was a moment when he went down in the first half, I think.
Yeah, for a couple of minutes.
He has got not the best injury record. I think it's interesting that obviously Marco Silva really likes this guy. He's always the centre mid sub that comes on normally when he's on the bench. And obviously he had a couple of games starting earlier in the season, then he got injured again. But Silva had him at Watford. He clearly likes him. He's played in the Premier League. I thought he did very well against Man City, considering the circumstances and who we're up against. And I'm wondering if he kept his place because Reed gave the ball away for the third or fourth goal. I can't remember. I think fourth goal. I wonder if that was... He obviously wants to only play with one of the more defensive guys at home to Millwall. And I saw some people saying that he looked Premier League quality, and I have to agree. He looked a class above the Millwall midfielders. His physicality is a very useful asset. He's not easy to get off the ball. And I saw some people saying he played the safe option like Reed a lot of the time. That's his role, really. He's not Seri. He's not going to be dictating the play from deep necessarily, but he's a guy that can go in front of the back four and provide some real protection. But also, he plays as an 8 sometimes. I'm interested to see what happens against Hull, and we'll come on to the team we play, because I'd be interested to see if he can play a third 90 in a week.
In a week.
So, yeah. And what about Rodak, Jack?
Yeah, Marek Rodak for me was someone. I mean, you love a clean sheet, and actually, Millwall had their chances of Phobe and that save from Jed Wallace. I mean, Wallace hits it straight at him, but it's still a really good save.
Yeah,
like I'm just like that ball falls to him. He's got all the space, all the time in the world in the box. I'm thinking, well, that's a goal. 2-1.
You just assume goal, don't you? You just think it's going to go in somehow.
Yeah, it was a good save, and then obviously the rebound bounces wide. Brilliant. I think Rodak again, and Gazza's a good keeper, and maybe for the second goal with John Stones' heads that he could have done a little bit better. Oh, there's been under 23s are 1-0 up at Stoke. Happy days. Sorry, I just saw the Fulham badge flash up my phone. I was thinking, what's that? I was thinking that's obviously a goal for the unders, but Gazza was poor for that second goal. I think maybe could have done a bit better, or maybe I'm being harsh, but Rodak for me is our number one keeper, and if we go up, he should get the number one place. Although seeing Areola playing against who was it? Kidderminster, maybe quite sad. I was thinking you don't deserve this. I mean, yeah, it's an FA Cup tie, whatever. That's who you've been drawn against, but he should be playing higher up. And Flapianski obviously retires at the end of the season, so in comes Areola. Hopefully, I don't know if that's a loan, but back to Fulham. Really pleased with Rodak. And who was the third play? Nico Williams. Nico Williams, when he's got the ball, he doesn't run, he glides. He's a glider. Yeah. He looks so good on the ball. And he looks like, how old is he? Like 19, 20. He looks like a steady professional. And I don't know whether that's just the fact he was at Liverpool, whether Jurgen Klopp, whatever, but it's really quite sexy to watch him on the ball. I'm not going to lie. He just sort of runs in this way that's he seems in control of the ball, but he's making strides forward. You know, some players, they sort of they're not great at dribbling, but they're decent at running, like Ryan Fredericks.
Yeah.
I suppose Ryan Fredericks, took away his man, whatever, he was all right. But something about Nico Williams, really nice to see. And TC was good as well. Yeah. I mean, Cabano and Wilson didn't have their best games. I thought Wilson actually had a really poor game, but we can afford it. And we still got the players to score the goals, to get us the points, and then Bobby decored over Reed coming off the bench and scoring as well. Great tapping.
He seems to keep popping up with some goals. I feel like. So what was the fourth goal he got? Because I remember he got one at home to Stoke. He got one at home to QPR, and now he's got one at home to Millwall. And what's the fourth one?
The away one at Stoke.
Oh, the away one at Stoke, of course, yeah.
What a goal that was.
Oh, what a goal that was. That's the most important of the lot, and I forgot it. Yeah, that was unbelievable. It feels like we've got players that can just come in and do a very good job. Like you said there, Wilson wasn't having his best game. Cabano, not the greatest he's played. He was fine. Someone just comes off the bench, goal. It feels like we've got players that can just really step up all over the pitch, and I'm loving it. And I agree with what you said about Williams. I thought it was a good league debut for us, and I don't know if he'll keep his place when Tete's back fit. You would imagine that he'd at least keep it for a little bit, but long term I'm not so sure, considering Tete's actually a permanent signing. We know that Williams can play in other positions, such as left back, such as further forward, so maybe that's one to ponder. But we've got Hull City up next.
I do wonder whether after Robertson's performance we can put Nico right back. And Nico, and then maybe if Tete's back, I think Tete might need one more game. I don't think he's quite ready, but we'll see in the press conference today, and then play Tete right back. But let's get onto the team for Hull, surely.
Yes, so Hull, I mean, I think this will be a very tough game, but I would sort of query that by saying I feel like 2 weeks ago this would be looking much tougher. They've had a couple of poor results lately. I think they lost at home to Preston. They lost away to Derby. But both of which are no mugs at the moment. They're both good teams. tricky away tie. So what would you think for the lineup? Would you go quite similar? Or would you bring in any changes? Because I'm personally thinking that I don't think I would change anything, is my initial thought process.
You know what? We were just like waxing lyrical about Chalobah and like will he start? I think that's the biggest question now. Like, because if Harrison Reed is out of the team and suddenly Chalobah's starting ahead of him, then Chalobah must have done something incredible to keep Harrison Reed out of the team. And of course, John Mikel Seri is still obviously working his way back from African Cup of Nations. So I can understand why Seri doesn't play. And obviously he's been out for all this time as well, so he's got to work his way back in the team. But Silva does this. We've said it before. One player gets in. It's not a foregone conclusion that Harrison Reed just slots back into CDM.
Yeah,
he's got to work for it. And at the moment, with Chalobah's performance, I don't see a reason as to why to drop him. I think it'd be very harsh to. Me, preference, like I said earlier, I'd love to see Harrison Reed in the team. Yeah. But if I see Natty Chabs, I'm just going to be like, fair enough. Yeah. He's the man at the moment. So, with that being said, I reckon it probably will be unchanged. Yeah. I don't see any reason why it wouldn't be, unless Kenny Tette's back.
Yeah. I think you're right as well, that is that last midfield role, because I feel it will be Kenny and Carvalho plus one other, whether that's Reed or Natty Chabs or Seri. I feel like it will be Chalobah if he can hack another 90 minutes, or at least 60, 70. Then I think he'll start, because I don't think he did anything to deserve to be dropped. And that is, as you say, the way Silva sort of runs the show. So I guess before we finish, just get some score predictions. And I've got to say, I have got a scoreline in my head, and it's been in my head since that Millwall game. I don't know why, but I cannot get it out.
Is it 7-0?
It's not. It's so much more boring than that.
Oh, no. What is it?
It's Hull 1, Fulham 3.
Oh, 3-1. I thought you were going to say we're going to lose.
Oh, no.
Or draw.
I mean, I hope not, touch wood. Yeah.
No.
Fulham to win 3-1 is my prediction. I feel like even when we're not playing well, we're scoring the goals at the moment. I think it will continue.
There's players to look out for Hull. Keane Lewis Potter. Obviously. Eves, of course. Oh, Honeyman. Yeah. Good player. And actually, Hull have been playing some decent stuff as well since they sacked Grant McCann. So,
yeah.
I think Fulham win this by... You know what? I'm really tempted to go hard here. Hull 0, Fulham 4.
Fantastic.
I just think if we score early, get in our stride, we could have them.
It is one of those where if we score early at the moment, with the exception of Man City, because that doesn't count, we could just batter teams. And the other night, when we weren't playing that great for the first 25 minutes, half an hour, as you said, the goal, you feel like once we get our nose in front, you do feel like an almost like inevitability that more goals are going to come, and normally they do.
I would agree, and I just want Mitrovic to hit 32 goals this weekend. That is the big wish, and also, of course, the big wish is the whole City chips, and that's the reason why half of the away allocation has been sold out, because of those chips. And I've looked at Footy's Grands, and I've looked at they've got these new hot dog with jalapenos, and this is probably more of a motivation than the actual game itself. A lot of people. This
is the championship, and these are the chips.
The championships.
Yeah.
Before we do finish, we have to just touch on the fact that West Brom are now 9th, and we're 8 points clear of 3rd. They're the talking points.
Yeah, we held off doing this video before the other games have been played, so that we could sort of see the state of play in the championship. Bournemouth won, you would say almost expectedly so, in terms of Birmingham at home. They had a bit of a scare when they went down to 10 men, and Travers made a good save.
Who went down to 10 men?
Bournemouth.
Did they? Who got sent off?
Yeah. Lerma. And interestingly, because Lerma's been sent off already this season, if the appeal doesn't go through, then he misses 4 games.
Crikey.
So,
Jake Livermore got sent off again. Straight red.
Yeah. Good start for Bruce, who we haven't spoken about, but he's the new manager of West Brom.
Valerian Sprout, yeah.
It does feel like, we were saying off camera, it's tilted in the past couple of weeks, and the team to watch in terms of breaking into the top two has changed from Blackburn to QPR. What are your thoughts on them? Do you reckon they could do it?
Well, look, starting with Blackburn, I never thought, even when Blackburn were doing really, really well, I never saw them as like this massive threat that we have to be concerned about, even though they were actually like, closest to us than Bournemouth were a couple of weeks ago. They got Ben Brereton Diaz, they got some good players, whatever. But it's actually like they lost in poor fashion to Swansea. They lost last night to Forest. I need to watch the highlights back, obviously, but QPR are the team right now who are flying. Well, I wouldn't say flying, but they just look a threat. And actually, I think if I was a Bournemouth fan, I'd be looking over my shoulder. I think they've already played each other twice this season at Bournemouth and QPR, but there's still a lot of football to be played. And all I'm really focused on is, can we extend that gap? Can we get 11 points clear of third, or like 12 or 13 in the next coming weeks? But the playoff picture is looking very tasty. And I was speaking to Gab Sutton a couple of weeks ago about a team who could shock everyone and break into the playoffs. And we came to the conclusion that that team is going to be Luton.
Luton, they do look
and
strong.
they're on the verge of it. Sheffield United are on the verge of the playoffs now. And
I think you've got 4 or 5 teams that are on 45 and 46 points now.
Yeah,
for the last
it's really exciting.
Like two spaces in the playoffs. It does feel like the playoffs are going to be very tough to get through this year. If you're the team that doesn't get top 2 and you fall into there, there's some good teams there. I do think there's some strong sides. Forest are now in there in 6th.
Of course, yeah.
I mean, they're just on an absolute roll at the moment. I know they lost to Cardiff a couple of weeks ago, but other than that, since Steve Cooper took over, the only side that's got more points than them is us. And funnily enough, we've got 3 more points than them because we beat them. So if you take that out of the equation, we've done exactly the same. And we've been fantastic. So what have they been?
I don't think Huddersfield finished the playoffs. I think they're a good team, but I don't think in the long run they're going to do it. I don't even think Blackburn. No, actually, I think Blackburn have got enough points. They might actually. I said to Gab, I don't think, this is my hot take, I don't think West Brom finished in the playoffs. And at the time, they were like third. Yeah. They were like third. And there's just something about them. Look, I was reading all the comments last night, and they were like Livermore needs to terminate his contract because apparently he's been sent off, I think, 2 or 3 times this season. It's another straight red. Cost them the game. They missed a couple of one-on-ones. I don't think they had a shot inside the box all game, West Brom. And, they've got a really good team, but they've just got the wrong personnel at the helm, I think. And a captain in Livermore who is constantly getting sent off and basically costing them points. It's a fascinating... It's like watching your brothers fight while you're like the good child. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like we're top of the league right now and we're watching all these teams trying to scramble for playoff places. And we've been there before trying to scramble for playoff places. That's not saying that it's done. It's nowhere near done. Fulham are only 8 points clear, 9 if you put goal difference. But Joe, I feel more paranoid being top of the league than anywhere else ever. I've never felt more paranoid about like the rest of the season because we are the ones that people need to catch. And it's suddenly our mistake and we could like... we get that's costly for us.
Yeah,
basically.
well, I feel like it's a different mentality to what we've had recently. The last few years, we've always been the team chasing every season when we're going for playoffs, when we're going for automatics, when we're trying to stay up. It's always us that does like the late season charge. And now, as you say, we're the guys that everyone wants to take down, and we're the biggest scalp in the division. And it doesn't help, even as much as it's nice to hear. A lot of people are just like, oh, well, Fulham are up, so there's one more place that we need to try and get. And it's almost like, I don't want to hear that. We're not up. Like, we're not. It's February. Do you know what I mean? Like, if the worst came to the worst and we lost to Hull and Bournemouth won a very tricky game, it has to be said, at Blackpool. Very tricky. Then the gap's what? 3 between us and them? If that happens, I think.
It'd be 3 points, yeah.
So, it shows how quickly it can change. We have to just keep taking it one game at a time. I think we are the best team in the league, and I don't think it is close. But we need to keep actually getting the results to show that, because you let it go for a couple of weeks, everyone can catch up, as they did around Christmas time.
It's fascinating. It really is, and it's a good place to be, top of the league, 8 points clear. But there's always that thought in the back of your head, thinking, I've seen Fulham before. I've seen us like give away big opportunities before. But under Marco Silva, I have a lot of faith. And Joe, should we just leave it there?
Let's leave it there. I think that we've summed up everything up. It's going to be a really fascinating end to the season, as you say, but it will be a lot more fascinating if we beat Hull.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to Hull. Although my train's at 7:30 a.m., we get up there about 10 o'clock in the morning.
God.
Why have I done that? A lot of the people I go with, there's like, oh yeah, we're going to get to 7:30 when there's like an 8:30 and there's like a 9:30 train. Like, don't know why, but look, we'll get to the spoons, have some breakfast, and then we'll start focusing on the pints, I suppose. And also, there's not a long rush back to the station like there was last time. Our train's at like 6:30. We've got all the time in the world, really. One point I'd like to make before we leave, for maybe some younger people who watch our show, I just want to point out the fact you're going to think it's going to be something really important. It's not. If you update your squads on FIFA, and which I did last night, I'm going to do a new crimmer with Fulham and try and get them up, and because I wasn't very happy with Mitrovic. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But Nico Williams is obviously in the squad, but you've also got Sonny Hilton, Ashby Hammond, who's been floating a couple of times. So Sonny Hilton's like you got Terry Ablade, you got Tahi, because they sorry, it's not actually Ablade, it's actually Ablade, because I was watching AFC Wimbledon last night and the other night.
Of course, yeah, he's on loan there.
So Tahi's there, Ablade's there, Sonny Hilton and Lukache, the left back. He's like 56 rated, but still, it's worth Carabao Cup. You slot him in, easy dubs.
Fantastic, yeah, fantastic.
And I swear that's so boring, but
no, that is not boring. That's so useful when you win it on FIFA. When you win the league with Thierry up front, fantastic. The bagsman himself, fantastic.
And I suppose that's it. So everyone who's going to Hull, have a great time. I left my coat in Manchester, left the pub way too drunk. And Matthew, luckily, was still in the pub. He was waiting for his Uber, picked up my coat. He's coming on Saturday, so he's going to grab it back to me. So if he remembers, of course. But that's it, Joe. Any final thoughts before we leave?
No final thoughts. Just a great day on Tuesday, both on and off the pitch. I feel like it's a very good time to be a Fulham fan. As I said, on and off the pitch. It feels like a real community at the moment, and hope it continues. And fingers crossed we keep the good times going on Saturday.
Yeah, it's a tricky one, and those Hull fans who sort of like stand next to the away end and try and get it large. But I feel like the away end's now a little bit more towards.
I think they've moved it.
Yeah, they have. It's another club.
I feel like it's a bit like Reading, where it's the other side of the goal.
Yeah. I think we're bringing good numbers on Saturday, which is good, obviously. And then, of course, Cardiff and Swansea are all on sale. West Brom's coming up. We've got a lot of football to play, and actually, we've still got another 9 or 10 games before the next international break, which is in March. Yeah. And I did do a bit of calculations before the Blackpool game, which obviously we drew, so we docked 2 points off that. But if we were to win every game, we'd be something like 90 points or something if we won every game.
Word.
Which obviously we can. I think max we could be on is 88.
88,
and that's
before. That's not bad, is it?
It's mental.
That's not
it's
bad
honestly
at all.
mental.
That's already automatic promotion numbers. 88. 88 could get you up some years. Yeah.
But I don't want to get ahead of myself. But I was just doing a bit of maths. I've been looking at that championship table far too much, unhealthily.
Don't get me started. The tab is always open on one of my devices. The table predictor. I'm sure Jack's going to have to go for another curry and go through that.
Yeah,
predict everything.
We did a couple of years ago.
Yeah,
we've gone on for far too long, but I think we're just quite giddy and we're quite excited. And I was saying the biggest point to make is if we were in a position where we were automatically promoted and we knew it early days, you give yourself an extra 2, 3, 4 weeks of preparation for next season, which is such a contrast to what it was last time. And obviously, we didn't even mention Scott Parker losing to Boreham Wood. I mean, that was a cracking night of Twitter. But,
that was just hilarious. Yeah.
Yeah. But look, the fact we played Bournemouth with 4 or 3 games to go is almost poetic, and hopefully it will be some sort of good conclusion. But anyway, let's call it a day because I know we've got things to do. Come on, Fulham. We'll see you at KCOM. Joe, thanks so much for being here.
Thanks a lot, Jack. Thanks everyone for watching.
Yeah, come on, Fulham. We'll see you Monday for another Jack and Joe show.